So here's a question for you. Can empathy be a one-way street? What happens when you are empathic and the other person you're in an interaction with or a relationship with is not? And if you're watching this channel, then I'm pretty sure that this has happened to you. You're empathic and the other person was not. Basically, it's the anatomy of a narcissistic relationship. And of course, the tricky part is that it doesn't always feel that way. You might catch the narcissistic person on a good day, and you may read their kindness as empathy, but in fact, it wasn't really kindness, it was grandiose generosity, or it was strategic, or it was transactional. But in the moment, you don't know, and it may have felt that you were understood, or appreciated, or supported, or they did something that actually satisfied a need in you, and then we reflexively think that it is empathy. The longer you are in a narcissistic relationship and really start to get it, then you see none of it was ever really top shelf, high grade, 5-star compassionate empathy. At best, it was empathy light, cognitive empathy. And of course, also it was performative, tactical, quid pro quo, transactional empathy. It was never about you being felt or responded to or attuned to or seen. I mean, this damn cognitive empathy, it's the trickiest of all, because lots of folks out there like to sell cognitive empathy like it's really empathy, but really it's wine in a box. I mean, it's wine. I don't know shit about wine, so I'm assuming the stuff in a box may not be as good as the stuff with a cork. What do I know? Maybe it's Splenda and sugar, but you get the idea. Empathy has really gotten cheapened in our world, especially these days. Technology has not helped. And we view someone who is actively demonstrating that they understand how we feel as enough. It's not. Someone can understand how you feel and still gaslight you about it, or not change the behavior that's hurtful. And behavior change is, to me, really the core of deep empathy working. Compassionate empathy is emotionally feeling or emotionally connecting to what the other person is feeling and behaving alongside that. For example, showing up when someone's having a hard time, listening to them say the same thing 20 times, crying alongside them or holding them while they cry, as painful as it may be. Now, one of the ickiest parts of narcissism is that narcissistic people aren't dumb. They know damn well that empathy is actually valued by people. Now, the more malignant or severe the narcissism, the more likely that the narcissistic person is to view empathy as weak. But they still know that it has an interpersonal value, so they will find a way to engage in it. For this reason, the sort of showmanship that narcissistic people are capable of can show up in performative empathy. They'll be empathic in front of an audience, or pretend to be empathic in front of an audience, and may even be able to cry crocodile tears at exactly the right time to show how good they are at it. More and more people are being taught how to use empathy to their advantage. There are entire creepy, culty schools and training programs on it. That's not empathy. That's a tactic. It's being so focused on this idea of what you can get from someone that you make that other person your singular focus so you can get the thing you want from them. That's not empathy, folks. It's exploitation. That's the equivalent of being an emotional pickpocket. Paying attention to where someone put their wallet so you can get close enough to clip it and get what you want out of it. That's not empathy. That's opportunism. Since time immemorial, and even today, there is a school of thought that is based on the teaching that we should try to be better than the other person, that whole high road, low road thing, right? In essence, even if the other person is an asshole, we can still show up as empathic and compassionate and loving and emotionally connected. And folks, I don't disagree with that. We can. But here's the but. Most people who do this make the mistake of still expecting or hoping that the asshole, the narcissist, the jerk, call him whatever you will, still has a little bit of empathy in them or something that can turn it around. Nope, it don't work that way. Even couples therapists, which is why couples therapy can actually be relatively harmful for people who are in relationships with narcissistic partners unless they have a well-trained couples therapist. Those couples therapists will still keep pushing the healthier partner to hold the larger gas tank of empathy. Well, that gets exhausting after a while. So yes, empathy can be a one-way street. But to make that work, and I put work in quotes, you have to know it's a one-way street. That you have to know that no real empathy is going to come out of that other person. And that means you better be clear on why you are hanging in this relationship or what you are doing in this relationship. If you're motivated by hope, then nope. Not going to work. Not okay. Because ultimately you're going to get sick. If you believe that someday they will come around because you figured them out, then again, nope. That is not the case. They will not come around because you got them all figured out and you're now a narcissism expert. And if you think that they will come around, then you have not figured them out. For some of you, it may be a sense of duty, culture, dharma, responsibility. Okay. But you still have to keep recalibrating every day to you, this idea that you're never really going to be emotionally seen in this relationship unless it's one hell of a bit of really lucky timing. And then that's luck. That's not empathy or just coincidence, or the narcissistic person is having a really good day. And like I said, that's not empathy. That's luck. Agreeable people are agreeable. Those of you watching this who are agreeable, it's who you are. You can't turn that off. What does need to be turned off, however, in narcissistic relationships, especially the ones that you cannot leave or fully disengage from, is the sense that this whole empathy thing is ever going to be anything even remotely close to reciprocal. And for all of us to stop calling strategic, business tactic, performative, grandiose generosity, performative, cognitive empathy, let's stop calling that empathy, because it really isn't. At best, it might be egoism. Maybe it's low-grade theory of mind stuff. It's mirroring in that way that psychopathic folks can mirror. It's communal narcissism and performing at being a good person, because narcissistic people aren't dumb. They know what the world considers a good person. And sometimes you might just have the good luck of needing help on the very day when the narcissistic person wants to do the thing you need them to do. For example, they may pull in the trash cans because they needed more space for their car or their friend's car in the driveway. It was never about making your life easier or doing what they needed to do to support the household. Your luck was that day they needed the parking. And it just turned out that it meant that those trash cans that you needed help with got pulled in. It was never about empathy for your needs and your need for help around the house. Listen, your life isn't a casino. And you can't spend your life waiting for the right number to hit the roulette wheel and say, look, yeah, no, look. They did the right thing, and then call that empathy. Luck. In the long term, if you do have one-way empathy relationships in your life, and I'm guessing that more than a few of you do, it is not sustainable in the long term unless you have other relationships where real empathy is happening. In that case, you get that critical human need met. Or you meet someone else's need for empathy and they meet yours. You have that mutual experience of empathy, which is obviously fantastic. And you can still be your empathic self in the cases in your life where it needs to be a one-way street. And you have to learn what empathy is and what empathy is not. Someone saying, oh yeah, I get that. Wow, I really get that. That sounds hard. But then go on to behave in a manner that clearly that they don't show that, then that's not empathy. If someone is carefully studying you, so ultimately they can take advantage of you, not empathy. And sadly, with what the world has become, empathy is actually becoming real empathy, compassionate, emotional empathy. It's becoming more and more rare. And when I witness real empathy, I actually behold it like a wonder. And if you are going to give it, be truly empathic with other people, you need at least a few places where it comes back to you in its real form. Not artificial sugar, not wine in the box. You need to know the difference between plonk and vintage. Thanks again.